Hey everybody, I'm Yvonne Williams with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video I would like to show you guys how to make your very own very easy color shift polymer clay cabochons. Now this is very similar in concept to my faux labradorite and my steampunk cabs and a lot of the different tutorials that I've been doing here, but I go into specific color combinations and show you exactly how I'm doing it kind of step by step without adding in other elements. And some of y'all had requested it, so I figured I'd go ahead and do it. So let's get started. I'm starting out here with some Sculpey 3 polymer clay rolled out to the thickest setting on my pasta machine, and I'm going to be using this Folk Art color shift in Black Flash, Lumiere Halo Pink Gold, and Lumiere Metallic Russet. Now I like to start with the halo colors as my base layer, so I'm just going to shake it and use the cap as my little inkwell. And I'm coming through, you can use any paintbrush, you could use your fingertip, just whatever you like. And you can see already on the unbaked clay, it likes to separate once it gets a little bit of water into it, but we'll get to that. Now I've done a tutorial on this before where we've stamped the clay, and the Lumiere paints have a really great, especially the halo ones, have a really great effect where they'll kind of separate out and settle into the crevices and stuff. But I had found on some scrap clay, like second use, I'm rinsing my brush if you hear that, some second use clay that was just flat, like unstamped, and it came out so pretty. I'll show you guys some examples of cabs that I've done that were like that in just a bit. And now here I'm using the Black Flash, and this is just a black pigment. I haven't actually done this color blend before, but Randy helped me pick out some colors, and he was like, yeah, these ones will be super cool. And I'm just kind of splotching it in. You could do swirly patterns, you could do, I mean, however you want the paint to lay on your canvas. So just coming through, rinsing my brush out again. And I'm going to put the cap back on because I'm really bad about knocking my paints over. So here are, these super durable examples of, now this one had the stamping in it. Thank you, love. This one had the stamping, and you can see how they kind of settled and shifted together. And these have been domed in resin. But these three were kind of from the perimeter, the edges of my clay, and so they had the paint on them but no like stamping, and I really liked that. And these are cabochons that are actually going out in my monthly craft crates, so I'm really excited to see what y'all make from them. But this way too, if you really liked them, you can learn to make your own. Now here I'm going through with the metallic russet and just dropping a few splats, beep boop, just like that. And you could come through again with your finger, but I'm going to be using a paintbrush because we're going to be doing quite a few projects and recordings today, and I don't want my hands to just be covered in paint. And so I'm just coming through and swirling and splotching. Now this is a little bit muddier than I had anticipated, but that's okay. It might make a really nice looking cabochon, you never know. Because sometimes, and I found with the stamping as well, whenever a project doesn't, I don't much like the way it looks in the large scale. Sometimes I love the way it looks when I just capture a little segment of it. So I'm coming through with just a regular spritz bottle. And already, if you can see past the glare, you can see how it's starting to separate out. Yeah, it's the only problem with the water. And you can actually slide the pigments around and let them just kind of do their own crazy thing, and the effects that you can get with this as it dries are phenomenal. Like, let me zoom out just a bit, there we are. And actually I'm just going to slide this onto a bead tray, and I have like a makeshift drying rack that I just set this over on top of the other bead trays on my shelf. But here we have, this one isn't even close to being dry yet, but You can see, and if I had gone through on a thinner setting on my pasta machine, it wouldn't have had as many ridges in it, but I've found that as my pasta machines age and with just heavy use, because I use them almost every day, the gears start getting off and start leaving little ridges, but I actually kind of like the way that that looks with the texture that it leaves for the pigment to rest on. So we have that one. We have another one here. The one I just showed you was the metallic magenta or pearlescent magenta and purple flash by Lumiere and Folk Art. And there will be links to all the different tools and materials down below. This one, though, is the pearlescent turquoise, pearlescent emerald, and halo blue gold. So you can see that has some really cool effects. Like this one's probably like my favorite, actually. I love, love, love these color schemes together. And you could use different base colors of clay for it. You could use translucent clays. You could do like a marbled swirl clay even underneath it. The possibilities for this truly are endless. And oh my gosh, just like, oh, that's so pretty. And this is actually the precursor to, I think I'm going to try acrylic pouring onto unbaked clay, and I will definitely be putting a video out for that, but I need to see how the Floetrol will bake, so a little bit more experimentation is in line for that. So definitely subscribe, or stay tuned for that. Hit the little dingy bell so that you can get notified. Maybe YouTube's super unreliable, but also there will be links to my different social media and stuff down below in the video description, because I post a lot of you know, my new videos and stuff. I'll post notifications on there. Oh no. I'm leaking paint. But I just wanted to show you guys how pretty it was, and then I made a mess, so that's fair. So here you can see we have some samples of unbaked clay that the paint has dried on. This one was a combination of the pink gold halo and the orange flash, which actually had a bit of blue in it, but I really love the way that one came out. This one was the pearlescent emerald as well as the halo blue gold. And I really loved that patterning in there. This one was our purple halo and purple flash, and I really liked that one, how its color scheme came out. And then we also have some other examples over here. This is what it looked like after it had mostly dried, and then I tipped it and it had some water, like painted water rivulets running down, but I really just love that marbling and everything. And I just have these on pieces of parchment paper. You can also use wax paper. This one was our emerald, pearlescent emerald, green flash, and pearlescent turquoise. And again, I really just loved, I mean, the metallic kind of flash in that and the deep greens. Really, really liked it. This is another one that had more of the halo blue gold and the purple flash. And again, we have more examples of whenever I tilted it and it kind of just rivulets of the mostly evaporated paint had run down it. This one has a little glob stuck in it. Just picked that out. But yeah, I really like that texturing. Here's another example. Oh my gosh, I love that right there. And this was more of the, you can see it's not quite dry yet right there, but that's okay. Let me figure that out. But gosh, I just love that. And then here we have one more. And this one was the pearlescent magenta, the orange flash, and the pink halo gold, or halo pink gold. This one quite possibly is one of my favorites, just from the marbling and everything, and the kind of splotching, just gorgeous. And so I am going to use different cutters on my clay, which you can check out any of my playlists here on YouTube under polymer clay or jewelry making or crafting tutorials, and find where I have a tutorial showing how to make your own shaped cutters. This one was originally a round cutter, but I wanted a little bit more of a shield shape. But you could also use fondant cutters or just anything that you can get your hands on, or cut it out freehand. And then I'm going to be doming it with resin, which I also have separate tutorials for that. So hopefully I'll be able to get that done and then show you finished results after it's been baked at, this was Sculpey, so I'm going to be baking it at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for about 45 minutes. If I were using a light toned clay, I'd bake it for about 30 and then keep an eye on it to make sure that there's no burning happening. But bake it, let it cool, and then dome it with either art resin or art and glow, which I know I've mentioned this, but there will be links down in the video description to all of these different products that I'm mentioning. Hey guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me during this video. I really hope that it was helpful to you, and I wanted to show you how a couple of the pieces came out. There's this one. You really see? Sorry. But they came out really nice. Like, I do just love some of these different effects. The gloss on them is so high that like the camera doesn't want to catch it. Here I have a couple that before they have the resin domed on them, they're still that shiny. Now I do recommend either a very thin layer of translucent clay that you can polish to like a high finish, or like something over this, because the paint is just sitting on the surface of the clay. You don't want it to like scrape off over time. But yeah, here's a couple more that I have yet to dome with resin. And then here is one that I just absolutely love. Like the colors on that though. And sometimes I have to go back through and re-spot up the, redo the resin. But the good news is if I had used art resin on this, I can go back and use a UV resin or art and glow. Once it's cured, it's cured. I haven't had any problems with stacking different brands or types of resin on top of each other. But if y'all have had any experience with that, I would love to hear about that, because I am limited by my own range of experience, and I'd love to learn from y'all. So this one came out super cool. Like, I really liked that one. But yeah, a lot of these cabochons have gone up onto my Etsy shop. Most of them have gone out to my very generous patrons, and I'm excited to experiment with making some more for my next batch of craft crates to be sent out. So if you enjoy my free tutorials and you would like to support the creation of more of them, as well as participate in my craft crates and different things, please consider joining me over on Patreon. Pledges start at just $1 and they kind of go up from there, but I do a lot of stuff over there on Patreon that you don't even have to be a pledger to see. Just have a Patreon account and be following me, and you'll get all sorts of like access to polls and behind the scenes content and different things, as well as notifications and a weekly digest for what videos have come out, when I'm going live, different things like that. That way we don't have to rely on good old YouTube to let us all know whenever things are happening. So anyways, but yeah, thank you guys again for hanging out with me, and I'm so excited to be kind of getting back into the groove of things. And for those of y'all who follow along with me, now that our craft room is organized, look at that pegboard. But no, so I shot actually the main core of this video before rearranging the craft room, and I forgot I had shot it entirely. So oops. So now I'm shooting the end of it in the new craft room, so which is technically, well, yeah. Bye. I'll see y'all in the next video. Happy crafting. Bye guys.